Today I am replacing the front bumper cover, radiator, headlights, grille, possibly hood on my 2007 Chrysler Town & Country. I will try and break these down into separate videos for you, but we had a bit of a mishap. As you can see, somebody stopped a little bit too late, so I've got my work cut out for me. First thing I'm going to do is pull the bumper cover off, kind of peel this guy back like an onion, see how much damage there is and what other parts I might need to order underneath. So we will start with the bumper cover removal. First thing I'm going to do is remove this grille with the Chrysler emblem. I think we might have gotten lucky and it's not damaged, but to pop the grille out, you've just got these Phillips first, so we'll start with those. Today I'm replacing the headlight on my 2007 Chrysler Town & Country. The driver's side is awesome. Passenger side, as you can see, is a bit bashed in. You don't have to take the bumper cover or anything loose to replace the headlights on these vehicles. There's just 3 8mm screws. Take loose. They're all the same length, I believe. So once you have those loose, you can pop the headlight up out of your way. I'm ordering a new headlight. I'm not sure if it comes with the bulb, so I want to hang on to this part until my new part comes in and see if there's any hardware that I need to swap over. Once you get the headlight out of the way, turn this guy clockwise, and then this connector right here has 2 little tabs. If you pry them back a little bit, be careful not to snap them off. Oh, actually, I can just pull that out, and then this is how you would disconnect the bulb. Be careful if you're reusing this bulb that you don't get greasy fingerprints on it. You can decrease the lifetime of your bulb if you get oil on it. So I'm wearing gloves, but if you weren't using gloves, don't touch the glass part. And then this other connector, I'm gonna set this guy aside too, has a little red tab. It's like a locking tab that I slide out of the way. Well, I could turn the bulb counterclockwise and pop it out this way, or slide this up and disconnect bulb. Okay, I've got the front grille out of the way. To pull the rest of the bumper cover off, got 10mm here, some screw clips here. I'm going to take a peek underneath, see what needs to come loose from the bottom. Pretty sure because of this little guy right here, I need to pull the other headlight because it looks like there's a nut holding the bumper cover on. Let's go check it out. So from underneath, I've got more of these screw clips that I just pry up the pair dikes without snipping in half. It's definitely easier if it's not cold plastic. From the side, looks like I've got a couple of screws holding the fender well shield in, and then if I peek up under here, there's a screw there as well. Not sure if I can get a good angle on it, but you can feel it. I think it's like an 8mm. All right, so if I shine a mirror up into that corner where my bumper cover meets the fender well, you can kind of see a little bit better. Looks like an 8mm screw. So I've got the screws out of my fender well shield. I'll get this 8 out. Let's see if I need to get the nut loose too behind the headlight. Pay attention to your hardware, especially like me. If you're going back together in a few days when the parts come in, you want everything's going back in the right spot. These slider clips, these screws were for my fender well shield. The super long 8mm went up in this corner. It's different from the 2 10mm that are up by the grille. And then sometimes I like to write myself little notes if I want to keep the hardware straight. I do have to pull both headlights so that I can get the nut for the bumper cover. So these are my headlight bolts, little silver 8mm bolts. these guys went 2 screws, and then that one that we saw with the mirror goes to the fender. Then those 5 go to my grill. Those are just like push pins, so I can figure out where those go. But the fender screws are a little bit different from the grill screws. They have a wider washer. So I just like to keep everything straight, especially because it could be several days before I go back together with any of this. Alright, once I get both headlights out and all the other hardware, there is a little nut back here, 8mm. You can get a wrench or a ratchet. There's one on each side, holding the bumper cover on. Let's see if we can get everything loose. You can see there's these little kind of line-up tabs, and then this is the bolt that nut went on. I've got everything loose out of the way, and I can see what else is damaged, and I'll show you how new bumper cover goes back together. I have my new painted bumper cover, compared it to my old one, made sure there was new hardware that I need to swap over. Basically make sure that I've got these guys where I need them, so now I'm ready to install the bumper cover. Make sure that that's at max where it's supposed to be. I have my new painted bumper cover, compared it to my old one, made sure there was new hardware that I need to swap over. Basically make sure that I've got these guys where I need them, so now I'm ready to install the bumper cover. Alright, so I have test driven the vehicle, recharged the condenser, made sure there's no leak, topped off the radiator with the vehicle cooled down, double checked my overflow, made sure that that's at max where it's supposed to be. I have my new painted bumper cover, compared it to my old one, made sure there was new hardware that I need to swap over. Basically make sure that I've got these guys where I need them, so now I'm ready to install the bumper cover. Also set this guy in place because the hardware for the bumper cover actually bolts it down where it needs to go. Then I'm going to grab my 2 little nuts and line up the new bumper cover and set it where I need it. Alright, so hopefully you have an extra person to help you put this in place. So basically we want to get these 2 pokey things going up and line this part up with the hole like so, so that we can start the nuts that we took off earlier. Not tightening anything until we make sure everything is lined up where it needs to be. Next we're going to come up top next to the headlight, get both of these 10s started. Again, we're not tightening anything down until we get everything lined up in place and started, so we're not fighting ourselves. Then we will come over to this corner here and start those 10s. Actually, I think they're 8s. Make sure that your fender well shield is tucked back behind the bumper cover, and then you can reach up in this cover and start this 8. Do that on both sides, and then we'll go underneath and make sure that cover's in place too. Once I have this guy tightened down into place, then I can go back by the headlight where we first put those nuts on. Make sure I tighten those. Like so. From underneath, we want to make sure that this guy is sitting where he's supposed to, all the way around, nothing's poking out. Then we can go ahead and start putting these push pins back in place. My van was missing a few of those push pins, so I definitely put 2 on either end. So I'll make sure nothing is dragging on the ground, but I've got my little bumper cover thing in place. Then you can come over to either fender well and get these 2 screws started. Probably go ahead and tighten those down. Remember, these are the ones that had a wider washer on the top, unlike the Grille screws. Next, we're going to put the Grille back in place, making sure that all of these little tabs inside go through the holes that they're supposed to be going through, including on the side here. If you can see that. There we go. That guy and this top guy. And then we can do these 5 screws on the top once we have it popped into place. And make sure to start all 5 of these screws before tightening any down. If I start at this end and tighten it down, then my holes might not line up. So also tighten down these 2 10s on either side, and then we are ready to do the headlights. If you are replacing the headlights assembly like I am, you want to make sure that you don't have to swap any hardware over. I usually put the bulbs into the headlight assembly and then plug them in once I have it back in. And this new headlight assembly actually, instead of this little twist hold down, it's got a different ring on there. So without touching the glass of the bulb, see how there's 3 tabs there? Make sure that I stick the bulb in so it's flush. And then this ring goes over the 3 tabs like that. Turn it to lock it in place. Alright, so I've clicked this connector back on over the headlight bulb. The turn signal bulb has 3 different tabs on it. The hole has a long tab and then these 2 skinnier ones at the top. Basically, line it up so that it sits flush and then turn it right till it's tight, and then I'm going to set the headlight up in place before I bolt anything down though. Turn on the key, make sure both bulbs work so you don't have to pull it back out. This new headlight has a little tab here that I can use to lift up on the headlight so that I can get these 3 bolts started. Once you get everything in and tightened down, you'll also want to make sure that your headlights are aimed correctly. If you're putting a new unit in, you don't want them blinding the driver in front of you. Good. Last thing I need to do is swap the license plate over. There are little divots. Not sure if you can really see that, but you could drill holes where these divots are, or you can just use self-tapping screws like I have. That's it.